Well, some business stories. President of the African Development Bank Group, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, says Nigeria's prosperous future can only be assured by supporting the private sector to unlock wealth that will lift the populace out of current economic challenges. Mr. Adesina spoke during the CEO Forum in Lagos, where he said the rejuvenation of the moribund manufacturing sector and fixing of the country's perennial power problems are key in engineering and industrial revolution for the country. The FDB chief spoke on the theme, the day the lion roared, making Nigeria a global industrial and economic giant, lamented that Nigeria, despite her potential, still lags behind other contemporary economies. He called for a speedy and systematic development of the economy through private sector-led initiatives and commended the decisions of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in removing the distortion in the multiple foreign exchange windows. Meanwhile, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has expressed concerns over the impending displacement of local meter manufacturers and assemblers in the downstream of the power sector. In the process of the government's implementation of the NMMP Phase 2 World Bank-funded supply of 1.2 million smart energy meters, MAN, in a statement, advertised a financial requirement and technical specifications by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, which appeared to be tilted towards local manufacturers and negated the Central Bank of Nigeria's guidelines for the implementation of National Mass Metering Program. According to the manufacturers, in quote, "We warn that this portends grave danger for the power sector, as we may be witnessing a repeat of the ugly scenario in 2012, when local manufacturers were sidelined in the meter supply and the nation was greeted with the supply of substandard meters supplied by the foreign companies that were awarded the contracts that was later removed from the network." End of quote. To the banking sector, where the Central Bank of Nigeria has increased the tenure of managing directors and chief executive of banks to a maximum of 12 years from 10 years. The Apex Bank also says approval is needed by the financial holding companies, its directors, shareholders, or agents to increase shareholding to 5 years or more in the FHC, as well as transfer of shareholdings to 5% and above in the FHC. This is contained in a circular signed by the Director of Financial Policy and Regulations at the Department of CBN. Now, Mr. Chibuzo FOB announcing a new corporate governance guideline for commercial merchants, non-interest and payment service banks in Nigeria. Before now, chief executive of the financial institutions were allowed to remain in office for a maximum of 10 years, but to strengthen management and corporate governance among lenders, the Apex Bank extended the tenure of CEOs by 2 years, noting that this will take effect from August 1st. Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria in 2019 issued the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, NCGG 2018, as the single corporate governance code for the country. Now, Lagos State has begun demolishing shanties and extortion points leading to the Lagos ports. The exercise is aimed at improving port securities, safety, and trade facilitation. The operations will continue all week and is being carried out by the Nigerian Army, Navy, Nigerian Police, the NPA Security Department, and the Lagos Traffic Management Authority. The head of operations, Lagos State Special Traffic Management Committee, Mr. Zan Adekoya, explained that the sanitation effort is part of Lagos State government's commitment to eliminating all encumbrances to trade.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has given his support. He has shown the highest political will to ensure, to uplift the face of Lagos Port and to bring back the glory of the port around here, to ensure we have sanity along the corridor. And in furtherance, the exercise will continue for 7 days. We are starting today, we continue tomorrow, and we'll keep doing it.
Asian shares slipped today as uninspiring Chinese economic data were not as bad as the worst fears, but still stock market impatience with the lack of major fiscal stimulus from Beijing. Chinese blue chips were down 1.0%, while the yuan was a fraction lower. MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside of Japan fell 0.3%, though that followed a 5.6% rally last week. Japan's Nikkei was closed for a holiday, though futures were trading 0.6% lower. Eurostock 50 futures and FTSE futures both slipped 0.4%. S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq futures were both up a fraction. but that followed hefty gains last week. Hours after Moscow said Ukraine had attacked the Crimean bridge, Russia says it has halted its participation in a landmark UN broker deal which allowed Ukrainian grains to be exported through the Black Sea. The Kremlin said that the halting of the Black Sea grain deal, brokered by the United Nations and Turkey to combat a global food crisis, has nothing to do with the bridge attack. In fact, the Black Sea's agreement ceased to be valid today. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told newsmen in a conference call, said, and I quote, "Unfortunately, the part of this Black Sea agreement concerning Russia has not been implemented so far, so its effect is terminated." End of quote. Russia's foreign ministry spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, said Russia had notified Turkey, Ukraine, and UN that Moscow is against extending the deal. China's youth unemployment hit a new record high of 21.3% in the second quarter of the country's post-pandemic recovery falters. Latest figures from Chinese National Bureau of Statistics shows that the jobless rate of 16 to 24 years old in urban areas rose to 21.3% last month. This comes as the world's second largest economy surged by 0.8% in the 3 months to end of June. Analysts say the weak pace of growth raised expectations that authorities may soon announce new measures to boost the economy. The Bureau said that the data showed a good momentum of recovery. Global demand for Chinese goods has fallen significantly. And Twitter's chief executive officer, Mr. Elon Musk, says the social media giant has lost roughly half of its advertising revenues since taking over its ownership. He said the company had not seen an increase in sales that has just been expected in June, but added that July was a bit more promising. Mr. Musk has earlier sacked about half of Twitter's 7,500 staff, where he took over in 2022 in an effort to cut costs. In a tweet, he said, "Needed to reach a positive cash flow before we have the luxury of anything else." After laying off thousands of employees and cutting cloud services bills, Mr. Musk said Twitter was on track to post a $3 billion revenue in 2023, down from $5.1 billion in 2021. Meanwhile, rival app Threads now has 150 million users. According to some estimates, it is built in connection to Instagram, automatically gives the Meta design platform access to potential 2 billion users. And crude oil prices dropped by more than 1% today after weaker than expected Chinese economic growth fueled concerns over demand in the world's second biggest oil consumer, while a partial restart of a halted Libya output also pressured. Now, U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude fell to sell at $74.26 per barrel, with a downward price review of 1.54%. Brent crude futures experienced a decline of 1.49%, sells at $78.68. Bonny Light recorded a downward price margin of 0.70%, selling at $81.31. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers are offering $81.53, with an upward price review of 1.12%.